First Corinthians chapter 9 verse 5. Have we not power to lead about a sister, a wife, as well as other apostles, and as the brethren of the Lord, and Cephas? The same First Corinthians chapter 7. Bear with me, I will probably go a long way in the chapter, if not all the chapter. From verse 1, King James Version. Now, concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. Please take note of the places I stress, I use body language and voice to stress, because those are where the messages I'm going to pass from the Lord today will come from. I'll repeat that verse 5. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinence. But I speak this by permission, and not of commandment. For I would that all men were even as myself. But every man hath his proper gift of God. One after this manner, and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, not divorced. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn. I will repeat that. For it is better to marry than to burn. And unto the married I command, not permission now, command. Yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 10. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband. For those who are giving all kinds of excuses and say, oh, the Lord said, except it be. He said this command is also from the same Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband. And I'm not necessarily saying it in a way that puts the blame on the woman. Many times a departing wife is so because of the actions or inactions of the husband. I will leave it at that. I don't want to digress too much. Verse 11. But and if she departs, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband. And let not the husband put away his wife. These things are weighty, brethren. They can be hard when you now begin to place it in the reality of the circumstances of the modern world, where a man can lose his job and may not be able to feed his wife, where a woman can be so loyal and submissive, yet she's receiving slaps and blows from the husband, where today there are cultures and traditions that subjugate women and will not allow them to realize their potential even in Christ. You bring this now to bear in a society like ours today, in many parts of the world, where you have husbands who are cheating, who are emotionally abusive. Now you even have wives who are cheating, who are committing adultery, and they drink it like water as if it's nothing. And a lot of times it happens in the church, and the church of God is polluted. You now bring this word to bear. And some people will begin to make a case. Is this not outdated? We're in the 21st century. How will this thing now fit in? Of course, that is now up to you now and me that is listening. How will it fit in? Verse 11. But if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband. And there's a categorical statement. I don't know the version of the Bible you're reading. And let not the husband put away wife. I will continue. Verse 12. But to the rest speak I, not the Lord, I now, Paul. He has said the one that the Lord has said. We'll come back to that. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. It's as serious as that you married an unbeliever, but she's living peacefully with you. You cannot divorce her. Okay. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. Let her not leave him. Somebody, there's a word coming to you now, a woman. Let her not leave him. Let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. And the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases. But God hath called us to peace. For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? But as God hath distributed to every man, as the Lord hath called every one, so let him walk, and so ordain I in all churches. Is any man called being circumcised? Let him not become uncircumcised. Is any called in uncircumcision? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing. Uncircumcision is nothing but the keeping of the commandments of God. Let every man abide in the same calling where he was called. Art thou called being a servant? Care not for it. But if thou mayest be made free, use it rather. For he that is called in the Lord, being a servant, is the Lord's free man. Likewise also, he that is called being free is Christ's servant. Ye are bought with a price. Be not ye servants of men. Brethren, let every man, wherein he is called, therein abide with God. Now, concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord, yet I give my judgment as one who hath obtained mercy of the Lord to be faithful. I suppose therefore that this is good, and for the present distress I say that it is good for a man so to be, that's to be virgin. So to be like as a man is. Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. I will repeat that. Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. But and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she has not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. I want to emphasize this. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not, and they that use this sword as not abusing it, for the fashion of this sword passeth away. But I would have you, without carefulness, he that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. There is difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy, both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely towards his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age and need so require, let him do what he will, he sinneth not. Let them marry. Nevertheless, he that standeth fast in his heart, having no necessity, but have power over his own will, and had so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin, doeth well. So then he that giveth her in marriage doeth well, but he that giveth her not in marriage doeth better. The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. But she is happier if she so abide after my judgment. And I think also that I have the Spirit of God. Luke Luke chapter 2, verse 36. And there was one Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. She was of a great age and had lived with an husband 7 years from her virginity. And she was a widow of about 84 years, which departed not from the temple, but served God with fastings and prayer night and day. And she coming in that instant gave thanks likewise unto the Lord, and speak of him to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem. And when they had performed all things according to the law of the Lord, they returned into Galilee, to their own city Nazareth. And the child grew and waxed strong in spirit, filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was upon him. I will need to read that in a simpler version of Bible, because I need you to understand what that place is saying about this elderly sister here called Anna. In Luke chapter 2, verse 36. Right. English Standard Version. And there was a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. She was advanced in years, having lived with her husband 7 years from when she was virgin. Okay? And then as a widow until she was 84. Okay. So, we don't know when this sister married, but the Bible tells us two key things that I want to draw from there. Number one is that she only lived with her husband for 7 years. Having lived with her husband 7 years from when she was virgin. So, and she married a virgin. She married her husband a virgin. I want to encourage you. Keep yourself pure. Man or woman. Don't engage in the modern culture of fornication, adultery, and uncleanliness, sexual impurity and immorality. Reject it with all your heart. Marry a virgin. And I'm not just talking about physical virginity. If you are still intact as a man and as a woman, praise be to God. I beg you in the name of the Lord, keep it that way until you get married. But even if you're not biologically that way, if you decide today, give your life to Jesus Christ today and begin to live a holy life, a chaste life, a celibate life until you get married, the purity that comes from God to someone that has given their life to Christ makes you just like a virgin. As a matter of fact, you become better than somebody who is biologically virgin, in quotes, but does not believe in God. Before the Lord, you are better. She lived with her husband 7 years from the time she was virgin. In other words, she married this man a virgin. You know, it is instructive to me that it is people that are pure like that that God gives their glory to. He said, and coming up at that very hour, she began to give thanks to God and to speak to him, speak of him to them that waited for redemption in Jerusalem. Things that they don't, I don't know what she was saying to them, but she had information about the Messiah for people. I can imagine the downloads from heaven this woman has gathered from many years of fasting and prayer in the temple, keeping herself pure, such that when the Messiah eventually came, she had information to give. The information did not come cheap. Can I talk about Mary, the mother of Jesus? She was virgin. She was even engaged, but virgin. Okay. Finally, I'll read one more scripture. This video is now long, so I'll make a part 2 to enter into what I wanted to discuss. Matthew chapter 19, verse 12. The Lord speaking now. For there are eunuchs which were so born,